This video is made possible by donations to the United States Lighthouse Society from people like you.
Hi, I'm Gene Grossi. I'm with Flotilla 28 in Portsmouth Harbor, and we're honoring Mr. Williams today for his long service as a keeper at Boon Island.
And I'm Gladys Benchamal, also of Flotilla 28 Portsmouth Harbor, and I am grateful to be here to help present this honor.
It's my pleasure to be here today at the First Baptist Church in Kittery Point to be exact, in Maine. And we are honoring the memory of Converse Williams, who was a native of Kittery and a longtime lighthouse keeper at one of the most difficult lighthouses in the United States, Boon Island. He was, again, a native of Kittery, went to Boon Island as second assistant keeper in 1885, advanced to first assistant in 1886, became principal keeper in November of 1888. He served 23 years in the position of principal keeper, earning $760 yearly without a single raise. He, as a young man, married Mary Abby Seward of Kittery. They had 3 children, one of whom died in childhood. A newspaper article described Williams late in his career as a lighthouse keeper. Quote, "He was a tall, spare man, dignified and a refined gentleman of the old school. He had a soft, low voice, and his language was marvelous for its simplicity and purity. He had an optimistic disposition, nothing ever worried him, and he never got excited. He was neat and methodical, even in performing the simplest task." I've known about Keeper Williams for a long time, largely because of a book that was written in 1935 by a lighthouse keeper, Robert Thayer Sterling, who was at Portland Headlight. He wrote a book called Lighthouses of the Maine Coast and the Men Who Keep Them. He interviewed William C. Williams when he was 90 years old, and Williams said, quote, "There were days when I first went on that station and I could not get away from the idea that I was the same as locked up in a cell. All we had was a little stone house and a rubble stone tower. When rough weather came, we didn't know as it would make much difference as to whether we went in the tower or not for a safe place. The seas would clean the ledge right off sometimes. It was a funny feeling to be on a place and know you couldn't get off if you wanted to, and tidal waves was all the talk in the early days. I was a young fellow and had never been placed in such a situation. When the terrible seas would make up and a storm was in the offing, I was always thinking over just what I would do in order to save my life should the whole station be swept away." Luckily, that never happened during his years there, but it did happen multiple occasions where he and his family had to go up in the lighthouse tower to avoid the flood. There were many times when the house was flooded, the island would be basically awash with waves going right over the island. In 1888, he and the others on the island had to take shelter in the lighthouse tower for 3 days, consecutive days. So it's absolutely astounding that he was the principal keeper for so long at one of the most difficult lighthouses in America. Keeper Williams earned the respect of other lighthouse keepers, of the officials in the U.S. Lighthouse Service, and I believe of the general public during his long career as a keeper. So I'm very, very happy to be here today to help honor him.